Now, there's been a big increase in emergency handouts for struggling families across the Calendar region as demand on our food banks continues to rise.
The Trussell Trust charity says the cost of living crisis is squeezing household budgets hard, and welfare payments are still far below the price of many essentials. Nick Smith has more.
Here at the Chesterfield Foodbank, volunteers like Jacqueline are preparing for a busy winter. They've recorded a huge increase in people needing support in the area, with a third of their 10,000 parcels going to children.
People from all backgrounds nowadays having to use a food bank, they're finding themselves in that impossible position. It could happen to any one of us. It's said that most of us are only one paycheck away from having to need a food bank. It could be any situation where you need to make ends meet, and food banks are an absolute lifeline for people in that situation.
Demand for emergency parcels has seen a sudden jump in our region, with the Trussell Trust distributing approximately 112,000 food parcels between April and September. That's a 26,000 increase on the same period last year. And they now have a record 103 food banks operating across the Yorkshire and Humber region. Sharon Spice went on to Universal Credit after losing her job as an administrator. But in the 5-week wait for her first payment, she was left with no choice but to turn to food banks.
I never thought that it would come to me having to find a food bank, use a food bank, and also borrow from friends and family. Benefit systems is supposed to be a safety net, it's supposed to cover your bills and your basic essentials. So I was quite shocked when I realised that Universal Credit didn't cover my basics. My dietary requirements changed, my electricity went, and I couldn't afford my basics, even down to like your personal hygiene items.
The reason people end up having to turn to a food bank is because their incomes are just too low to cover the cost of essentials. The single biggest reason for that is that our social security system doesn't have a link between the amount of money you get in Universal Credit, for instance, and the actual cost of essentials. We've never had that link. And that's what's driving more and more people to the doors of food banks. We're seeing increasing numbers of children, particularly, growing up in families facing hunger and extreme hardship.
The Department for Work and Pensions told ITV News, "We are providing a record £94 billion support package to help with the rising cost of bills, including cost of living payments to over 8 million households, raising benefits by over 10% and helping people with essentials through the Household Support Fund." But those on the front lines of the charity sector say this still isn't enough to stop record numbers from needing to rely on the goodwill of donations this winter. Nick Smith, ITV News.